Hey guys, we can see a fellow cyclist up there. This is the Pitt River Bridge. Pitt Meadows is on that side, and we're on the Port Coquitlam side here in beautiful Canada, British Columbia. We're looking at just a beautiful, beautiful bike. This is one of my favorites from the Electric Bike Company. It's called the Model Y. I covered it about a year and a half ago. Really liked it. Did not customize it like you see here. This is a pink frame with matching fork, and it's just fully kitted. I mean, they sent all kinds of cool accessories for this. Recently, I was talking to my aunt who works as a nurse, and she's helping people out all the time. I thought it would be really nice to help her out and get her some sort of a gift, because she had a bicycle. She actually gave it to me years ago, and when she was moving, she moved back, and I was like, why don't you just pick an electric bike, any electric bike that calls to you, and it'll be a gift. It'll be really fun. And this is what she picked. Now, this is not her bike, but she customized hers very similar. Really beautiful, had fenders and stuff. This one actually has beautiful, real wooden fenders and chain cover. There's so much attention to detail with these bikes to begin with. And then when you customize it, it really becomes something special that matches you. It matches your personality. So I love this bike. $16.99 stock. And that's if you just get the white frame. If you want colors and stuff, that's another $400, and then all the accessories each come at a price as well. And I've got a lot of that listed back at the website. Their own website is really cool. It's really custom. You go in and you start picking the colors, you start picking the accessories and stuff. You can even get a suspension fork. This is a steel fork, rigid. Their suspension fork has 80 millimeters of travel, compression adjust with lockout, so you can lock it out if you don't want that bobbing feeling if you're on a smooth paved trail. But as soon as you come onto the rocks, the suspension is a nice feature. It also has preload, so you can preload the spring. And that also comes paint matched. I was like, wow, very, very seldom can you actually get stuff that's so custom like this. Look at these beautiful leather grips with the locking rings there so they're not going to twist on you. Stitched. They match this beautiful saddle, oversized, very comfortable. Got these big rubber bumpers underneath. So even without a suspension fork, the bike is fairly comfortable. If we come down here, the Schwalbe balloon tires, Fat Frank. These are 26-inch wheels by 2.35, so they're fairly wide. That gives you a lot of comfort. You come back to the steel fork, a little bit of vibration dampening, but strong. The big high-volume tires, a little bit wider, is also going to give you some stability, but you get that comfort. The big saddle. They do have an optional suspension seat post as well, SR Suntour NCX. It's like $100. You don't have to buy it from them. You could get any suspension seat post that's 30.4 millimeter diameter. Or you could get one that's 27.2 and then use a shim to sort of fit this bike. But I like that they went with a little bit wider seat post and seat tube, because it adds strength to this bike. This thing is rated to handle 350, 360 pounds max. I think the front rack, this basket here, is actually rated like 50 pounds, and it actually contains the battery. So see how there's like this rubberized platform? That actually protects the plastic battery box that you can see from the side here. It's sort of white in color. Even the front basket can be color matched, and this is aluminum alloy, which is very nice, because if it gets scratched up over time, it's not going to rust the way that steel could. And they even include touch-up paint. Okay, so for the parts that can get a little scratched, the fork, fenders, and chain cover, you can still go there and keep this thing looking beautiful. I absolutely appreciate that. Steel handlebar as well. This is a classic, really big, wide, swept back handlebar. It dampens vibration, and it gives you that like upright body position where you can look around and spot traffic and talk to your friends and stuff. Much, much more comfortable. But they went one step further, and they've got an adjustable angle stem with 100 millimeter length right here. So you can tip it forward if you're someone who's a little bit taller and maybe you've got longer arms, or you can put it up like I've got here and really bring those handlebars back and up. This bike only comes in one frame size. So that's one of the trade-offs. But again, a lot of adjustability in terms of how you position that saddle. I noticed that for this updated model that I'm looking at here, 2020, 2021 version, they actually lowered that seat tube a little bit. So the standover height is also, it's always been really approachable with this, wave step-through frame, but the minimum saddle height is even lower than it was before. I've got those details back at the site, but I call that out because sometimes you see a bike and you're like, oh, look how approachable it is. But it's actually the minimum saddle height that, it really plays a role here. For a lot of people, you want to still kind of be on the saddle and be able to put your foot down and stabilize the bike. This is a great bike for that kind of rider, someone who wants the comfort, the stability, and again, the attention to detail. So let's talk about some of the rest of the hardware here. 40 millimeter branded custom rims here, double wall. They are very sturdy and they can be color matched as well. We've got these 13 gauge spokes, 36 holes, so it's extra. Sometimes the fancier bikes have fewer spokes, but I feel like, you know, you've got extra, it's going to give you a little bit more strength, and then thicker spokes as well. It's not just the spokes that are thicker, the disc brakes are as well. So see, this is a disc brake rotor, 180 millimeters of width. Now these come in like 160, 180, or 203, and 203 is like, you rarely see it. It's for really fancy mountain bikes and stuff. So 180 to me is already a really great kind of an upgrade. And then the rotor itself is a little bit thicker, which helps to dissipate heat, and it keeps it from bending and kind of creating that whooshing noise. If you've ever heard that on a bike, sometimes when you're riding, it's like whoo, whoo, whoo. And that's because the disc brake might have gotten bumped out of position. Try not to touch that with your fingers. The grease and stuff from your fingers can also mess up the calipers and the brake pads. And these are really, really nice brake pads and calipers. This is quad piston. Okay, so instead of just 2 pistons, there's 4, 2 on the inside, 2 on the outside, and that gives you a larger braking surface and just a little bit more command over your braking. And that's important with a relatively heavy bike. So back at the website, they say, you know, it weighs like 58, 60 pounds. I weighed this one, as you see here, with all the extras and the fenders and everything, and it weighs about 70.5 pounds. So not super light, but the weight's actually, it's kind of well distributed because of the rack battery up front and then the hub motor in the back, which is kind of hidden by the bags and the rack. We'll get to all that, but the point being that it's nice to have disc brakes and hydraulic disc brakes at that. So we got 4-finger, really big levers. They give you a nice mechanical advantage over your braking. They got the ball ends so you don't slip off, and they aren't going to poke you. We've got adjustable reach right here. There's a set screw, so you can actually bring these in a little bit, make them easier to reach, just depending on your hand size. Here is the brake line, but there's a second line right here, not to be confused with the throttle. This second line is actually a motor inhibitor. So anytime you pull either brake, it sends a signal to the motor controller to cut out. And that's a nice safety feature. This bike is a pedal assist, but it also has a trigger throttle. There's kind of a lot going on if you load it up like this one especially. So knowing that anytime you pull the brakes, you're gonna stop, it's a really good thing, both mechanically and electronically speaking. Now I wanna show you this. See where it says like KT V12R? That is a 12 magnet sealed cadence sensor, and it's really well protected there on the inside of the chainring. Awesome. It's much more durable than sort of the old-fashioned really big discs with magnets. Maybe you haven't seen those before, but I'm telling you, this is a nicer setup. It is just a cadence sensor, not a torque sensor or a multi-sensor, but having the throttle to sort of help you get started, and then just, you know, moving those pedals, not having to worry about how hard you push. It's not quite as dynamic as like some of the mountain bikes and stuff, but I think it's a really good fit for a cruiser like this. I want to point out that they've got internally routed cables all across the bike, really nicely done here from the basket, and then they come out here near sort of the bottom bracket area of the bike. Square tapered spindle, 170 millimeter crank arms. They are branded here. It looks like they're like laser etched or something. Awesome Wellgo platform pedals, big sturdy aluminum alloy, but they also have this rubberized grip. So if you slip off and hit your shin, you're not going to get all scratched up. I just think this is an excellent choice. Nice big adjustable kickstand, center stand right here. For me, this is a mixed bag. The stand does a good job, but it also creates pedal lock, okay? So if you're backing this bike out of a garage, or maybe they just get bumped like I just did, now the bike can't go backwards. It's kind of stuck in this position. You have to walk the bike forward and sort of kick that pedal forward. Or one thing I do sometimes is I'll lean the bike on the kickstand and then pedal forward like this to get it out of the way. And I've used a rock here to try to get the bike perfectly straight up and down, but you know, they designed it to tip a little bit to the side because it's heavy. You don't want this thing to fall on anyone. Okay, so we're getting towards the back of the bike, and so that you can see it better, I'm going to use this little key here and open the MIC adapter plate, take this off. So again, this is optional, but it's neat that it's MIC compatible. Got these beautiful Basil pannier bags that hang over the top, and they just match this paint so perfectly. This is optional. Again, I think it's rated at 55 pounds. It's got a spring latch, some pannier hangers, the kinds that clip on, or you can use the MIC compatible interface that I just showed. So here's the rear disc brake, quad piston in the rear as well. A lot of times they put the heavy-duty braking stuff just up front because that's where your weight shifts when you stop. But the fact that they've got it on both here is awesome. Quad piston, again, 180 millimeters, thicker 2.3 millimeter rotor. We don't have quick release in the back. Now we did up front. That's just a standard 100 millimeter hub spacing, 9 millimeter axle, quick release skewer. That's pretty traditional. Back here, this is pretty common for electric bikes that have hub motors. So it's like a 12 millimeter keyed axle with nuts. So you can see there's the axle. It's keyed, meaning it's got these slots that fit into the dropout. And then, I don't know if it's like 80 millimeter nut or something. So this is what it looks like back here. Part of me wishes that the kickstand was a little further back so you wouldn't have the pedal lock, but it's a decent balance point. We can see the tires again, looking really nice. I'm gonna jump to the other side to show you they have another choice of tires. I think it's CST, and they're sort of like a higher speed rated, but these ones are really solid. These are the Schwalbe Balloon Fat Franks. I already mentioned the size and stuff, but I want to talk about this reflective sidewall stripe. In addition to the white wall and the brown, which looks really nice with the leather accents up here, but that reflective stripe is going to keep you visible from the sides, give you a nice big visual footprint, help you be a little bit safer. And then we've got K-Guard 3, which is puncture protection. So it's kind of a Kevlar lining so that you don't get those little thorns and glass and stuff giving you flats quite as easily. Of course, it's still possible, so check your tire pressure for one, because if it gets too low, you can squish the tube and kind of do like a snake bite is what they call it, when the rim pushes into the inner tube and creates two little holes. And that's not because something poked you from the outside, it's because you compress the inner tube. So check the tire pressure regularly. I've got that detail back at the website as well. But in general, these are really nice, puncture protected, highly visible. And if you get the white frame, same thing, very visible. Now, the company does have the Model X, which is like a high step version of this bike. Basically the same thing, same price, and it has sort of a high top tube like up here. So it's maybe kind of the guy's version or something. These days, you can get this in any color you want. I appreciate that it's low step because I've got sensitive hip and knees. I don't mind riding around this. You can definitely make it look kind of more feminine or masculine. It's totally up to you. It's just kind of neat to know they have that option. And on that one, now you can actually get that front rack battery as well, or you can get the mid-frame battery. Now, the benefit of the mid-frame is it brings weight low and center, which is better for handling. However, it also lets you take the battery off. This bike, while it's technically possible to take the battery off, it's kind of a hassle. You have to unscrew the basket and everything and disconnect 3 places. It's a hassle. So really, this is designed to be left on the bike. You can charge it right here. It's actually got a new charging interface with 3 pins, and then the on-off button moved from the left to the right. It's got this water-protected cover. It's a really nice setup, and see how it attaches to the frame, so if I steer the bike, the basket and the battery are not moving. It's much more sturdy. They're connected to the whole bike, and it just gives you more strength. It doesn't impact steering. When you park these bikes sometimes that have like the baskets connected to the handlebars, it tips to the side and it kind of dumps the basket, and it's not as good as this. Of course, there's a trade-off to consider, and that is the light is fixed to the front of the basket and it does not point where you steer, which would be a little disorienting at times, but it's a nice light with 2 LEDs and a big lens that spreads the light and a reflector on either side. So it's a pretty good setup. So we were talking about charging a second ago. Here's the plug. With those 3 pins, it just separates and improves the connection a little bit more. It's a higher quality than the single pin chargers that you see on a lot of other electric bikes. Standard wall plug here. This thing weighs about 2.3 pounds and it's super fast. It's a 3.5 amp charger. I mean, that's great. Most of the time I'm seeing 2 amp chargers. It's got a metal casing, it's got a fuse, it's got a fan. The electric bike company does a great job with their batteries, with their warranty, 5-year comprehensive, with their fuses. They're designed to be really reliable, really durable. And for me, that's awesome. I mean, it brings a lot of kind of peace of mind. By the way these bikes are shipped, I mean, you do pay a little bit extra. It's like 189 bucks, okay, on top of just the stock price I told you, $16.99 plus 189 plus if you get paint and all this other stuff. But the experience is really good. I mean, they do all of this themselves in the United States, the painting, and they custom spoke the rims and they paint everything, and they got all these options. They even have a multi-speed drivetrain now. So this is 56-tooth chainring aluminum alloy, 18-tooth cog in the rear, but you can swap it out. You can upgrade. It's not very expensive. There's Shimano Altus derailleur with a 7-speed drivetrain. It's pretty basic. It's 14 to 28 tooth, and it's a freewheel, not a cassette. Just, if you don't know all these things, it's a cheaper version of a drivetrain. It's not the cheapest. They could have gone with Shimano Tourney, but they went with Altus, and you know, to have 7 speeds is nice for people who we want to have a different cadence option for climbing and starting. This single speed, however, is very reliable. The chain's not going to fall off. You don't have to worry about adjusting the derailleur. It's kind of bulletproof, and with such a powerful motor and throttle and pedal assist that we'll get to in a second, it's pretty nice. So if you do get that drivetrain option with the 7 speeds, there's like a chain ring guard that's aluminum alloy, and that helps to keep the chain on track and everything too. And of course, you got the fenders and the chain cover options. So I should mention that these fenders are using the more adjustable struts because they're custom made. I mean, this is maple that's stained and really nicely done, but these stick out a little bit. They've got these rubber covers. If the rubber cover comes off, it can be a bit sharp. So just, you know, be careful. I just appreciate, however, that they went really low. So it's actually going to protect your feet and shins and stuff when you're pedaling. This is really nicely done. And while we're looking at hardware and stuff here, I want to mention that on the spokes, they use brass nipples. So you're not going to get rust, and it just improves the strength and durability and longevity of what they've got. Same thing back here, goes a little bit lower. You can see the support arms protruding just a bit, but these have stayed pretty quiet and they haven't gotten bumped out of position. I think about this because sometimes you got a rider with like longer feet, and if you're turning, that fender can get kind of close to your toes. Really, you should have the pad of your foot here. You shouldn't be pedaling with your heel or the middle, but still, that's good clearance. The length of the bike and the spacing of the wheels is pretty good. It's a little bit, you know, it's longer, it's kind of slow and steady. It's not as twitchy or responsive as some, but it is a cruiser bike. That's kind of what you'd expect. So coming back to the experience, when you get this bike, it is like 100% set up. You don't have to do anything. Most other bikes, you have to put the wheel on the front. You got to straighten the handlebars. You got to do a few steps. And with a heavy product like this, if you don't have access to a shop to help you or some tools or whatever, it's a hassle. So I really appreciate that. The box is huge. You know, it weighs a lot, but you just open it and you're ready to go. The tires are inflated. Everything is awesome that way. And the tools that they do include are pretty nice. Like a lot of times you get these really cheap basic tools. This one actually has a nice little pouch with like a really good set of Allen keys that you could keep and some clippers so you can trim off any of the little zip ties and stuff that you don't want. It's a really good experience. I mean, these guys have been doing a great job. They've been around for a long time. I genuinely like them. And, you know, my goal is to be thorough here and tell you the pros and cons, how much it actually weighs, and show you how to operate a little bit. But I'm impressed. I like this bike myself. I love that it comes with integrated lights. You can see these 2 rear lights here. They each have 3 LEDs. They're very bright and they're visible from the sides as well as the rear, kinda. If you have that bag on, let's go ahead and put it back. It kind of blocks the lights. So you just drape this over the rear rack like this, sort of set it into the slot here. Let's see if I'm getting this right. There we go. So there's these blocks that kind of push down like that. It clicks, and then you can take this key. Now people can't take the rack off. When you put the key in, it sort of stays in on its own, but then when you push it, it releases. So it's a very cool system, the MXUS system. It's like a Dutch company. They do a great job, and you can put child seats, baskets. They can even, the electric bike company will paint match the basket too if you want. Just incredible what they do, but I really like these panniers. It's easy to throw in a lock. They actually sent this lock for the review here. Nice big ABUS lock. High quality stuff. And it's all in one place. So you get stuff you know is going to match and look good, but hey, what happens when you've got these panniers hanging down? You're blocking those lights from the rear, at least. The side's still good. Well, no worries. They actually include another light at the rear, and this one blinks. You know, it's kind of blocked a little bit from the sides by the bag, but at least it's giving you that rear view, which is so important. So safety-wise, I think they've done an excellent job, whether it's the quality of the batteries and the charger and the fuses and everything. And that's part of why they can offer such a great warranty. So, okay, we've kind of gone around this bike. We've talked about the fenders, talked about the basket and everything. Just so you see it, here's this Bluetooth waterproof speaker that handlebar mounts. Here's a nice little flick bell with another little headlight option. Just a lot of little fun, almost kind of gimmicky things, but they actually work pretty well. They're thoughtfully chosen. This, you know, it's like a cup holder and it sort of swivels and stuff. So if you're riding, the drink's not going to spill. I like that. And it's a nice thing they offer that because there are no bottle cage bosses on the frame. I think aesthetically and maybe just from a mechanical standpoint, the strength of this frame, the reason they've had to do 2 tubes here is so that you don't get this frame flex. And it performs well. And there's a little bit of flex if you really jostle it, but it's good enough. And then having your drink up here, that makes sense, right? You're not reaching way down and stuff. And this is the good size for like a soda can. It's a little small for an actual water bottle. So keep that in mind. So I'm sharing all this stuff with you before we get into the motor. The motor itself is quite good. This is MXUS, 60 Newton meters of peak torque. It's rated at 500 watts nominal, up to 1,000 watts peak. It's a great motor, and I like that it's silver. It matches, it blends in. Of course, you do get to pick. You could have, you know, paint match rims and, you know, black or silver is kind of the default, but the motor's done well. It's a good option for a bike like this that is almost in that affordable category. Like if you just go with the stock white one, you don't get any extras. $16.99 is pretty good. What you see here is like $27.80 or something like that. So almost $2,800. We spent $1,000 on accessories and upgrades, and we didn't even get all the upgrades. So the battery that comes stock here is a 48 volt, 10.5 amp hour. It's like 504 watt hours. That's pretty good. Now they also offer a 48 volt, 20 amp hour, which is roughly a kilowatt hour. I think it's 960 watt hours. It's a lot of capacity. And they say, okay, like 40-mile range with the stock basic battery or 80-mile range with the high capacity. That is pretty cool too. Just keep in mind, you have to bring the bike close to a charging outlet. You've got to be within reach so that you can plug in the charger with the Model Y. With the Model X, I don't think they have a high capacity down tube mounted battery. So that's the one where if you're commuting and you need to take it into your office and charge each day, great. Maybe if you're a commuter, you just get the super big battery version of the Model Y. This is commute ready with the integrated lights and fenders and everything like that, the rack option. I guess it just comes back to like how you're gonna ride. And keep in mind, these are all estimates. It depends on your tire pressure, how much work you're doing, whether you have the multi-speed drivetrain, what level of assist you're in, et cetera, et cetera. But it's a powerful system. It's a hub motor that works well. It's reliable, good battery, you know, nice pedal assist system here. I think you're getting the point. Yeah, so let's go up here to the display and talk about how this works. Gosh, look at these nice wire wraps and everything. It's really beautiful. I think I might actually move us into the shade so you can see this a little bit better. So here's the button pad, nice and easy to reach from the left grip. You don't have to take your hands off or anything while you're riding. There's a power in the middle and then up and down. It's very simple. Now, in order to get the bike to work, you do have to turn the battery on, and it's nice that they have a separate on-off switch because maybe you're at a public rack and you don't want people tampering with this. Well, you can turn that off, and it's kind of hidden down here. I think a lot of people would miss that. So we're ready to go. We press the power button for a second. It says Electric Bike Company. And this is a color display, which is kind of nice. In addition to having all the readouts and stuff that we see here, there is a little USB right here, a little USB charging port, which is so nice. Like maybe you have your smartphone over here. I think this is 500 milliamps. It's not the fastest in the world, but it's USB type A. It's the most standard kind of generic interface. You could plug in and maybe even charge the speaker or something. But of course, this is Bluetooth. So imagine you have your phone sending the songs and stuff to the speaker. By the way, it works really good. It's a good speaker. I just, I want to play copyrighted music or something during the review. We've got 4 ticks on the battery infographic. It leaves something to be desired. It's not as precise as battery percentage. We've got battery voltage, ambient temperature out here, and then there are 2 other little things that pop up. If we hold the down button for just a second, we can actually see that here we're changing from, throttle to pedal assist. So right now pedal assist is off, it's just throttle. And now we've got pedal assist back. So that's one of the tips here. A lot of people that I've talked to, it's like they get the bike and it's like, why isn't pedal assist working? And you kind of have to remember that. That's the beauty of having so few buttons, is it's a little less intimidating, but you have to remember some secrets. So the other secret is to hold the up arrow to activate the lights. See, we've got that light icon right there, so that would activate the headlight and the rear light that are so nice on this bike. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn those off here. The other thing you might see at the top of the display is whenever you pull those brakes, we get this little circle thing right there. That's the motor inhibitor switch. So it's letting you know, hey, we cut the power to the motor, just in case you were wondering. I've actually had that before where I'm like holding the brake a little bit and I'm like, why isn't the throttle working? And it's like, oh yeah, you know, I'm overriding with the motor inhibitor. Then we've got pedal assist level. Starts off in 1 there, but we can take it to 0 if we want to. And then this is just a bike with lights, with the battery and a bunch of stuff that's kind of just hanging out, but you don't have to worry about accidentally bumping the throttle or pedal assist. You just ride it like a bicycle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 levels of assist. The way that it ships is that the throttle is actually limited by the level of assist that you choose. So if we're in 5, we got full throttle potential. But if we're in, you know, 1 or 2, you're not going to go very fast. And to me, that was a trade-off. I kind of prefer when the throttle gives you full power because, I mean, it's a variable speed throttle. I'm going to try to show you here without making the bike move. See, there's all this range of power, but I don't know, maybe this was like a safety thing. I talked to the guys at the company. They said, actually, you can change that in the settings. And I'm going to show you that in just a second. So it's nice that you can change it. The way that it's set up, though, you're somewhat limited. Speed in the middle. It's miles per hour right now, but we could change that. If we tap the power button, we go from the current speed to average speed and then max speed. So that's nice. Another good kind of secret, tap the middle button. Down here, we've got trip timers, trip distance, an odometer, a bunch of other just kind of standard readouts. I like how they've made the important stuff really big. It's easy to see. You can kind of swivel this if you're getting glare. It is not removable. Might take a little bit of sun damage. It's probably not going to get scratched as easily at bike racks as some of the other ones because it's this big basket and handlebars are protecting it so well over here. So if we want to get into the settings, we turn the display off, hold the power button, and now we're going to turn it on again. And right when it starts, we hold up and down. Boom, we got secret like settings mode. And this is so cool. They've actually got some videos and documentation back at the website that shows you what each one of these means. You just press the up or down arrows and then tap the middle button to change these. I'm not going to go through all of it. That would take way too long. But yeah, it's nice that they give you so much freedom with this bike. And speaking of freedom, you can remove the throttle if you want. You can just unplug it, right? And now it's just a pedal assist bike. 20 mile per hour is the legal limit for class 1 without a throttle. 20 mile per hour with a throttle and pedal assist, and or it's an optional, but anything with a throttle, 20 mile per hour, that's class 2. And then class 3 is anything pedal assist up to 28 miles per hour. And this bike actually can go up to 28 miles per hour if you go into the settings and adjust it. So this thing is kind of like class 1, class 2, and class 3, all depending on how you set it up. Whether you take the throttle off, how you adjust the top speed, and you can lower the top speed as well, take it all the way down to like 12 miles per hour if you just want to get excellent range and just maybe take it easy, you know, like not get too carried away. I think that's about it. We've gone through all the different stats and stuff. I just want to appreciate this thing again. It's such a beautiful bike. I really have fun riding this thing. It's very comfortable. It's just people smile when they see you. They give me funny looks. They're like, oh, that guy really loves flowers and pink, and I do. But you know, this is kind of how I think my aunt and some other people would configure this based on their style. So let's get on this and do a test ride. Okay, so we just stow the kickstand like so. Hop on this thing. I'm going to take it up to level 3 and use that throttle to start. Nice and easy. And I love that because it's variable speed here, again, up to 3, I can just gently ease into it. So smooth, really comfortable. Yeah, and with pedal assist, you don't have to worry about this at all. You just pedal and you got that nice 10, 11 mile per hour top speed. The bike does no hands okay. It tracks decently, but it does kind of tip a little bit to one side. I think that's just because of the weight. Yeah, I'm kind of taking my hands off here. The weight up there, I think it's about 6 pounds for the battery. And for me, it's a test I like to do just to see, does the bike have speed wobble? Is it flexing? And no, with this bike, I think because of the reinforced, you know, the double down tubes and stuff, it really does well. It feels very solid that way. hopefully you could hear that. The pedal assist starts pretty quickly. You know, it does take half a revolution or whatever, especially with the single speed. Pedal cadence is just kind of slow and steady. We are up in 5 now. Very easy to get up to that like 20 mile per hour top speed. And then the cadence really picks up a little bit. Let's try this no hands again. There we go. Got the cup holder doing its thing. Totally fun. Here's that body position. Pretty quiet here too. It feels like I'm floating, like the nice comfortable saddle and the big tires, just the handlebar position here. You definitely notice the support, and the motor is very capable. Definitely gets me smiling. Perfect for a trail like this, on a day like today. As with most e-bikes, there's a little bit of a whine, especially at the higher power settings once you start going a little bit faster. So keep that in mind. But when you're on a gravel trail like this and there's that sound of the pebbles and rocks, you really don't notice the motor too much. Try a brake test here. One-handed. Really smooth and steady. Didn't take a whole lot of hand effort. It took me a little bit longer because we're on the gravel and I just don't want to slide out. Oh, look at that. It's a seaplane. I wondered what that was. I thought it was like a boat or something out there on the Pitt River. Try that no hands again. It shifts a little bit side to side, but does a pretty good job. And the panniers are pretty quiet back there too. We got the charger and the lock in there. Really handy to bring that stuff along without having to wear a backpack. So people frequently ask about, you know, climbing ability on these bikes, especially because it is a little bit heavier. One thing you can do is hop off the bike and just use the throttle to sort of push the bike up so you don't have to lift it. But if you are wondering, you know, how powerful is it? Can it climb a hill? I'm trying to do a hill test for you real quick. Just keep in mind that I only weigh 135 pounds. I'm about 5'9", by the way, for reference. So let's do this. I'm right at the approach. So ideally you'd have a little bit of speed going in, but I wanted to give the bike a challenge. So we're gonna start from 0 and just juice it. No problem at all. And now we're just accelerating like there's no problem. So yeah, I would say that this is more powerful than average, and with the slightly smaller 26-inch wheels compared to like 28 or 27.5, you know, it gets a decent mechanical advantage. The bigger tires on this probably give you more of an effective diameter close to 27.5, but it's not like the biggest wheel. And I just think probably the motor, and I think this has a 20 amp controller, so it's you know, it's beefier. It does a good job. Nice and smooth. Okay guys, this is an angle I like to do because it gets you close to the motor and it lets you see how responsive pedal assist is. So again, we have that sealed 12 magnet cadence sensor right there, just under this nice maple chain cover, 56 tooth aluminum alloy chain ring. We got an 18 tooth cog in the rear. Again, that could be swapped out for 14 to 28.7 speed Shimano Altus. So I'm gonna pedal along. I'm in the highest level of assist. Just listen for how long I have to pedal before the motor kicks in, and know that you can override that motor by pulling the brakes at any time. And this is as loud as the motor will be because it is the highest level of assist. So here we go. Very nice. So for me, it took a second to engage, and I think, again, we have that sort of fixed cadence on the single speed option. But as soon as I stopped pedaling, it cut out almost instantly. I did not use the brakes for any of that. And I didn't get as fast as I could have gone. So this time I'm going to use the throttle from 0 and just try to maximum speed, maximum power. Fantastic. Now we're just flying, but the bike feels stable. It feels comfortable and safe. And yeah, not a whole lot of rattling. I might go a little bit on the side of the road this time just to purposely see what that sounds like if we get any shaking sounds. I think the tires absorb a lot of the bouncing, and also with a single speed, the chain isn't bouncing a lot, which, you know, usually you'll hear the chain kind of slapping the cover or the chainstay. And of course, one last thing, they also have this optional security fob, which is cool. You know, you don't want to lose your bike. I mentioned the lock before, but this thing it's impressive. At first I thought it was kind of gimmicky, but you know, you just lock the bike like that. And then if you were, you know, no one's going to pick up the bike and run away with it. Maybe you just lock it to itself out in front of a coffee shop or something. And then if someone comes over and starts to get on your bike and try to take it away, you get the, whoa, super, super, super loud. Oh, it's just, oh my gosh. Yeah, you really notice it. So I feel like that's kind of cool and worth mentioning. I really don't know of too many other electric bikes that have an alarm system like that. And this does cost a little bit extra. But it's something that these guys really, they're one of the only companies I've seen that have so many accessories. So it's worth pointing out. Well, guys, I've had a blast with you. That is the Electric Bike Company Model Y. For the full write-up on this and all the specs and everything, check out ElectricBikeReview.com. There's a cool comparison tool back there and some forums, so you can chat with people and you can see my last year's review of this bike and suss out some of the details. The big thing is that the disc brakes have been upgraded. They sort of upgraded the on-off switch, and you've got some more options here in terms of the colors and the battery capacity and everything like that. So I hope this helps you. I love you. Ride safe. We'll see you on the trail.